Hello, welcome to Spanish Lessons with Dr. Alan Davison. The videos in this series are designed to be used with the Blurzo el Burro graded Spanish reader. The reader is available at Amazon.com or through my website at blurzo.com. Have fun. Today we will look at the perfect tenses, that is, compound tenses. These tenses are made up of a conjugated form of the auxiliary verb haber plus the past participle, which we'll abbreviate here PP. Okay? In English, this would be something along the lines of I have eaten. Eaten is the past participle, have is the present tense of haber. Or she had gone. Had would be the past tense of haber, gone again the past participle. Okay? So the first thing we need to look at is how to come up with a past participle. Over here we have our different past participles. If it's a regular verb, hablar, we simply drop the AR and add ado, and we get hablado. For regular ER verbs, drop the ER and add ido, we get comido. IR verbs, drop the IR, add ido, that's not accented there, vivido. Okay, so these are all regular. Now there are some verbs that are almost regular but slightly irregular. For example, creer or leer. Any of these verbs that have the two vowels next to each other leading into the ending, the ER or IR ending here. When you make this into a past participle, believed, you need to accent the I, creído. Otherwise, you would have just the E and the I together. That would become a diphthong and you'd get one syllable, creído. But since the original verb is creer, we want creído. So creído. Oír similarly has the written accent in the infinitive. Therefore, we get oído, oído. Okay? So these fit into a semi-regular category. Then we have an entire group that are irregular past participles. Okay? Abrir instead of abrido, opened, becomes abierto. Decir, dicho. Escribir, escrito. Morir, muerto. Poner, puesto. Romper, roto. Hacer, hecho. Ver, visto. Volver, vuelto. And you can get any combination of these verbs would work the same way. For example, here we have poner, puesto. If the verb were componer, which is to put together, to fix, then it would be compuesto, something along those lines. Or devolver, for volver, would become devuelto. Okay, so that's how we get the past participles. In English, these would be, uh, uh, go back to these irregular ones, abierto would be opened, dicho would be said, I have said, escribir, written, morir, died, poner, puesto would be I have put. In English, the past participles are very irregular. In Spanish, we have a handful of irregular ones. Okay, so we know how to get the past participle now. For the rest of the perfect tenses, we simply conjugate haber in its different conjugations. For example, the present tense of haber is he, has, ha, hemos, habéis, han. So haber would translate in English as to have, but it's not to have in the sense of to possess something. It's only used here with these past participles to create the perfect tenses. So if you combine the yo form of haber plus any one of these past participles, let's say comer, and you'd end up with yo optional he comido, and that would render the idea of I have eaten. Okay, let's try another. How about we have written? That would be nosotros, optional. Hemos written, escribir, irregular past participle, escrito. That would mean we have written. Okay? So the present tense of haber plus the past participle would render what we would call the present perfect. Perfect just simply means it's a compound tense. It's a grammatical term. In this case, referring to a compound tense using the auxiliary verb haber plus the past participle. So if we wanted to do the past perfect, or in some books you'll see this be referred to as the pluscuamperfecto, something along those lines. We use the imperfect conjugation of the verb haber. So we get había, habías, había, habíamos, habíais, and habían. Again, we combine this with a past participle and we get the past perfect. For example, él había, let's use volver. Él había vuelto. That would mean he had returned. He had returned by the time I got home, whatever that case might be. Or they had seen from ver. Ellos habían, and from ver, that's irregular, visto. Okay, so that would be the past perfect. Okay, you can guess then. For the future perfect, you take the future tense of haber, which has an irregular root. It becomes habré, habrás, habrá, habremos, habréis, and habrán. The future tense conjugations of haber. Combine that with one of our past participles. For example, I will have, yo habré, what? Let's try terminar. That's a regular AR verb. Past participle becomes hado. Yo habré terminado. I will have finished. I will have finished by the time the class ends, whatever the case may be. They will have come. They will have um, sent the message, whatever it might be. So there you have the future perfect. Okay? So finally, you can guess what the conditional perfect is going to be. You take the conditional tense of haber, again the irregular form, and you end up with habría, habrías, habría, habríamos, habríais, and habrían. Combine this with your past participle and you can guess, I would have plus the past participle. For example, I would have eaten. Yo habría comido. I would have eaten if I had had more time. Something along those lines. Okay? There you have the perfect tenses. I should mention there is one more use of haber that we've already seen, and that is we've seen haber used in, first of all, in the present in an irregular form, I meaning there is or there are. We've seen the past forms, hubo, there was or there were preterite, había, there was or there were imperfect, future, habrá, there will be, and conditional, habría, there would be. These are in the singular forms, not used with the past participle, just another use of haber. And of course, then we have all of these conjugated forms that go with the past participle for the perfect tenses.